And we are live. Welcome to the NBA Strategy Show Game 6 edition, Thursday, June 19th. I am Josh Engleman here to break down what is likely the final game of the NBA Finals. Maybe the Pacers do something today and we end up getting basketball on Sunday. Or maybe not. And that is what we're going to try to figure out. Maybe not right now, but certainly by the time we get to lock. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, hit the notification bell so you know when everything goes live. Follow me on Twitter at Josh Engleman. I know this is not the way that anyone would want to start this show because it's going to sound a little ridiculous when I say it, but I'm not entirely sure how much we've got to say today. And that's because we have a gigantic question mark dangling on today's day. And that question mark is Tyrese Haliburton, who was very clearly hurt for, 46 minutes worth of the last game. He is definitely got a calf injury. If this were the regular season, he would probably miss the next couple weeks. But the tricky part here, well, it's the only tricky part that exists is whether or not he plays. Because if he doesn't play, then nothing's tricky at that point. The Pacers are way worse, and inevitably we know what we have to do with projecting more minutes. Like someone like Benedict Mathurin at that point becomes a very different play. But if Tyrese Haliburton plays today, and he is technically questionable on the injury report, the line has moved since the news came out. If he plays, I don't even know how to break this down. Because at that point, it's not just about like, oh, I'm fading Tyrese Haliburton if he plays. Like that goes without saying. But does he play 2 minutes, 12 minutes, 30 minutes? Is he a decoy for that chunk? That's where it gets tricky because it's easy to just reproject minutes if Tyrese Haliburton gets ruled out at 8 o'clock. I would be shocked if he gets ruled out. But if he gets ruled out, then we just know it's that bad. I tend to think that he's going to be active either way because you can just deactivate somebody else. They don't have to do that, though. I would expect some gamesmanship from this, but if Haliburton is in, you just need to make some wholesale decisions about what the trickle down is going to be. Whether that's Nembhard, whether that's Mathurin, whether that's... I'm kind of out of people at this point. I mean, Siakam obviously looks different. But we also need to think about what happens defensively if there is no Haliburton. Because Lou Dort, who's guarded Tyrese Haliburton for basically every minute that he could, he gets a new job. And I assume that job is probably Andrew Nembhard, some Pascal Siakam. That's going to be a real tough scenario for Nembhard. That is not that like anybody from OKC is going to be a fun time, but when you then take Nembhard out of it and just put him in the torture chamber and you can move everybody down a peg defensively, that starts to get a little dicey. Starts to get a little bit dicey. I don't have a great feel for any of it. Look, I mean, I guess I do have a great feel for it. His status is something that I'll never even bother trying to predict, but he's hurt. I don't see any scenario where he's any good today if he plays. It would be a truly shocking event if Tyrese Haliburton plays 30 minutes plus and is anywhere better than his norm. I just don't see it. And I also, I mean, it should come as no surprise. If he doesn't play, I have no idea how they win. Like, this is not that good of a team when Tyrese Haliburton isn't at the helm in full strength. I assume we can all at least agree on that. But I mean, last time out, what was the final stat line here for this guy? Tyrese Haliburton in game 5, 34 minutes, 4 points, 7 boards, 6 assists, 3 turnovers, 4 of 4 from the line, 0 for 6 from the field. That's going to be, I mean, 34 minutes seems close to impossible. Not making any shots if he plays seems pretty realistic. Because it's not even just like, oh, he's sort of hurt. If he can't take a first step confidently to beat the slew of exceptional defenders on the Thunder side, they're dead in the water one way or the other. I'm actually a little interested to see that if he does play, do they just take Dort off of him anyway? Because I think that's a scenario that's on the table as well. Why use him if it doesn't seem like you need him? If you could hide somebody else on Haliburton to start, that becomes a little bit more interesting. But like, you know, right now, the things that we see in ownership are not surprising. SGA, 14,200 on DraftKings, 20% at the captain, 75% overall. I mean, clearly the number one play. J-Dub up to 10-8 now. Your number 2, well, I guess tied with Chet. J-Dub at 10-8, Chet at 8-8. Both 50% owned, both like 14% in the captain spot. You know, that's just like a salary thing. I don't see much of a difference between these two guys. Oddly, the highest owned guy, at least as of right now, is Aaron Nesmith. Any sort of limitation to Tyrese Haliburton is going to make that $4,800 Nesmith price look better and better and better. Siakam is sitting there at 10-2, $600 cheaper than J-Dub. He obviously is going to get anything he could possibly want in this series or in this game, but he's also going to have more eyeballs on him today than he typically does. Nembhard at 6K, very scary to me if he needs to scale up his offense, because I don't think he's capable of doing that in a playoff series like this. Mathurin to me is the wild card at 3,600. You get him back at home. He's 31% owned right now, which is subject to change. But he's the guy that could easily fall into a bunch of extra minutes. And he's, I don't know, the only guy that you could confidently feel can create a shot. Whether that's going to go or not is a different conversation. I mean, TJ McConnell is just TJ McConnell at this point. 5K. Close to 30% owned, gonna play between 17 and 21 minutes, gonna be an irritant, probably doesn't make the threes that he takes when he's wide open every time, but he's gonna be active, and they're gonna need every bit of that activity. It's gonna take a lot of, like, guile, maybe is the word I'm looking for. I mean, Ben Shepherd... Look, Ben Shepherd can get more minutes in this one. I don't think Haliburton being out is helpful to him. We got a ton of playing time out of Tony Bradley last time out. At the very least, you expect him to play some. And at 1,600, 1% owned. That's the value play that is most underrepresented here. The fact that Tony Bradley is projecting for essentially zero ownership is a little intriguing to me. because it appears that he has taken that spot. I have very little to add on the OKC side. I think these guys are pretty much in the proper order. SGA, J-Dub, Chet clearly separating from the pack. Caruso at 6,600 just feels like a too high, scary price tag, especially in this particular matchup. Hartenstein could, go out there and have 10 more boards. I do like this series. Here, honestly, that's probably the guy that we should talk about right now is Isaiah Hartenstein, because if Tyrese Haliburton is limited, if Tyrese Haliburton is out, I think Isaiah Hartenstein is massively underrepresented. Because the biggest issue for Hartenstein in this particular series is that he's more natural in drop coverage. And when you have Haliburton at full strength and they're pinging the ball all over the court, you saw them get a bunch of free looks with Hartenstein on early in game 5. If there's no Haliburton to initiate that offense in that same way, I think it's going to be a lot easier for Oklahoma City to have Hartenstein more in that drop. And all of the recovery should be a little bit easier. Whoever's ending up with the ball is just going to naturally be a little bit worse because you're moving everybody from the Pacers up a peg, but you're also taking every defensive matchup and making it better across the board for Oklahoma City. So I could see a scenario where Hartenstein looks better here just because Indy's offense should be like next level worse. Let's take a look at it, actually. Let's take a look at the Pacers offense this season. This is going to be a pretty interesting exercise. I'm curious to see what this looks like. So let's do this first. Let's get the playoff rotation. So that's going to be McConnell, Turner, Siakam. We'll say Bradley. I guess we'll say Bryant too, just for reference sake, because I don't want to get the other guys. Nembhard, Toppin, Haliburton, Nesmith, Mathurin, Shepherd. Okay. So when any of those 5 guys were on the floor, nobody else, 6,000 possessions, and they were a 119.6 offensive rating. If we just remove Haliburton and force him to be off in this scenario, we take a 119.5 offense and we turn that into a 114.3 offense across 1,600 possessions. So what we're really talking about is between 4.5 and 5 points of reduced offense just by taking Tyrese Haliburton off the floor. Same guys that are still available are available. They shot 34% from 3 in that scenario. They actually generated decent enough shots. But we're talking about losing 5 points of 4.5 to 5 points of offense per 100 possessions by Haliburton not being out there. Just for reference, so people can understand what the scope of 5 points really is, because that's sort of, it doesn't sound like a ton. But if we talk about 5 points, let's see, the Pacers were at 116.5 here. If you take 5 points off of that team per 100 possessions, that's we'll call it 111.5. We're in between Portland and Utah, the 23rd and 24th ranked offenses this season. We go from a high-level elite offense to a essentially non-playoff offense. And that's with everybody else. That's not factoring in playing with all the other idiots that have seen the floor for the Pacers. This is the playoff rotation. That's a big 5 points. Just out of curiosity, defensively, with Haliburton off, 114.8. Defensively, with Haliburton having the ability to be on, 114.8. It's probably pretty close. 114.3, yeah, which is what I would expect. Haliburton being in this rotation or out of this rotation based on the injury doesn't really impact the defense all that much. Haliburton's not a great defender, much better team defender in playoff scenarios where he's not going to switch off as much. So that's neutral. They just lose 5 points of offense. That right there is the part that I find most difficult, because let's remember, they lost 4.5 to 5 points of offense in regular season rotations, or at least primarily regular season rotations. That means you're playing some sort of 5 guys without Haliburton against bench units, backups, injured other starters, whatever. Now you're losing that 4.5 to 5 points of offense. But not only are you losing it, you're losing it against what could be the best defense we've ever seen. So not only does it drop against average competition, this is as good of the competition as you'll ever get. So I would argue that it might even be a bigger impact than 5. I just don't know how they create really anything. The path to me for Indy today is one of like total talking head speak bullshit. They're playing at home. Oklahoma City can sense it. You get a little tight. Indy, whatever the status of Haliburton is, feels like they have nothing to lose in this spot, and they can go for broke. And if OKC isn't matching that energy, then it could be a problem. But if they match that energy early and Indy can't punch him in the face immediately, I have no idea how they get back in it. It would take truly outlier shooting for me to think that Indy has any chance here. You need a real all-NBA style performance out of Pascal Siakam. You need Miles Turner to be, I guess, completely different than he's been in this entire series offensively. You need TJ McConnell to do TJ shit. Obi Toppin's going to get those looks. They need to go here. And then you need Benedict Mathurin to be as aggressive as he possibly can. That's a lot of ifs. That's a lot of ifs. Does J-Dub have a repeat performance? I mean, it's hard to say repeat performance because that'll go down as, I mean, one of the better playoff games in the history of the playoffs. Not even just him, 46-4, while also playing, you know, let's call it at a minimum above average defense. It's better than that, but can he do that again? Yeah. I mean, I think he's starting to find the spots and the matchups that he likes. And I think more than anything, he's realizing that when he gets downhill and can get to the rim, it goes really well for him. I mean, what is J-Dub shooting at the rim in this series, or at least, you know, close? Let's see. J-Dub, where are you? Gotcha. Let's see what he's shooting. How many possessions? How many shots? 178 minutes. He is 23 of 35 at the rim. That's 37% rim frequency. Shooting 66% at the rim, which is nice. I mean, here's where he's dying. 4 of 18 this series from long mid-range. I've called essentially every second of the first 5 games. I notice it every time he takes the shot. It feels like it's never going in because it hasn't. 4 of 8 from long mid-range, 9 of 22 from short mid-range. So that's 13 of 40 anywhere that isn't the rim or a 3. But 57% of J-Dub's shots have been either at the rim or from 3. If he could turn that number up a little bit more, I think that would be helpful. But I think he's in great shape. Another trickle-down effect for this is if Haliburton is out or exceptionally compromised. One, that means that the rest of these offensive guys, whether that's Nembhard, whether that's Siakam, they need to work harder on offense. By working harder on offense, that will also make them a little bit tougher to maintain energy defensively. So I would argue that the Haliburton status actually helps someone like J-Dub's offense in a secondary manner, because you tend to think that the Pacers are going to have to do more in other facets of the game, leaving them a little bit more open defensively. So originally this line was what, like 4.5 after the first game, or after game 5, it opened somewhere in that 4.5, 5 range. It's sitting at 6.5 right now across DraftKings and FanDuel. You can find some 6s out there as well, but in that 6 to 6.5 range. Tough for me to think anything other than an Oklahoma City win here, but look, playing in Indiana, all bets are off. I think if we want to talk about guys that I think are like a little underrepresented for today, Tony Bradley is one at 1,600. Cason Wallace is one at 3,200. He looked much better in game 5 than he did in game 6. Only 20% owned. Hartenstein at 23% ownership to me is underrepresented. Lou Dort is always live to rain some threes. In theory, he's probably a better play today than he would be if he had to aggressively guard Tyrese Haliburton. And then I think Mathurin at 3,600 is a hair under-owned for what this game needs to be. But there is some like underrepresented value to find today. I'm excited to build for this slate. I'm certainly pumped to watch the game. Is this an 8:30 start or an 8 o'clock? 8:30 start. Shit, that sucks. Was really hoping for the 8 o'clock start. Alas, that's not what we're going to get. If we want to take a peek at it on the FanDuel side, 46% MVP ownership coming into SGA, 92% overall. He is $17,400. After that, it's J-Dub at 12.4, and then single-digit captains across the board. I think Chet looks really interesting at the captain spot here. Caruso's got a much better price tag. Miles Turner's got a much better price tag. If you're looking for value, I think Mathurin is sitting there as an interesting option. I think Toppin and Hartenstein are both interesting. I mean, the value here just in general, much easier to like than it is on the DraftKings end. I got something for you guys, if you guys don't mind hitting the like button. So this is probably the final NBA show until October, till the season starts back up again. But it's not like DFS and sports go anywhere. We've got stuff that will cover you across the board, depending on what you like. MMA, PGA, NASCAR. But baseball is the daily driver. You guys can play MLB DFS every day, sometimes, 2 real slates in a day. I think you guys should sign up for our MLB DFS product. So the promo code is VICTORY, VICTORY. Shout out to Johnny Drama. The promo code is VICTORY. 50% off an MLB DFS package, core or max sims, whichever one you're looking for. And I think it's a great time to get in. One, the sims tools are just awesome. But two, if you sign up right now, that's basically going to take you up until the All-Star break. It'll clear the All-Star break by a little bit, but for the next 30 days, MLB is the main game in town Monday through Friday, and on the weekends. But the weekends, you get your golf and your MMA back. But if you guys want to sign up, get 50% off an MLB DFS package for a month, whichever one, core or max. There's a link in the description. Click that. Head on over to Stokastic to sign up. We're talking projections. We're talking ownership, top stacks, top pitchers, top batters, sim tool, single lineup sim, whatever you're looking for. Baseball's here, guys. And we want to celebrate the victory of the 2025 NBA champion Oklahoma City Thunder by giving you guys 50% off. So again, promo code is VICTORY. You guys can see it on the screen right now. Use that code, sign up, 50% off an MLB monthly package. There's never been a better time to get in because basketball is essentially over. Now, is there anything that you guys want me to touch on right now that isn't just dramatically affected by the status of Haliburton? Because this giant, like, we can play the hypothetical game all we want, but clearly we need this news, because if he's out and we can just redistribute 30 minutes, then we're going to have massive value options on the Indiana Pacers in Nesmith, in Turner, Nembhard, Mathurin, Toppin, McConnell, Ben Shepherd. All of those guys are going to look some percentage better, some a lot better, some a little better. But it's hard for me to go through like every if this then that, given the fact the number one player for the Indiana Pacers is on the mend. Levi Rogers, 50% off for 1 month. Because I really just don't think there's too much to add. There's no stones left unturned at this point. I don't expect to see like random players. You'll get your couple minutes out of Kenrich. Maybe Isaiah Joe sees the floor. You know, the balance of the rest of the bench guys is always going to be very situationally dependent. I just want to build one DraftKings lineup. I think that's really all I've got in the hopper for the rest of this. Obviously, I'll be back for Live Before Lock later tonight. Also, check out the perfect lineup video. Myself and Laffy giving out top 2 pitchers in our favorite stack. Just for anybody that's curious, this guy right here has gotten the top stack over the past 2 days correct. Highest scoring stack yesterday, Tampa Bay Rays. That was in the video. 2 days ago, highest scoring stack, Houston Astros. That was in the video. Make sure you're watching it for today. Let me take a look and give you guys the schedule for the rest of today. Laffy will be up immediately after this, 11 a.m. for the MLB Strategy Show. Spags will be live for a best ball stream. Greg and Eric will go live at 6 p.m. for MLB Live Before Lock. And then I will be back for Live Before Lock right here on this YouTube channel from 8 to 8:30, at which point we will go to playback.tv/Stokastic. You guys can come watch the game with me. I will watch the whole damn thing. We will crown the Oklahoma City Thunder as NBA champions. And we will probably have our final playback stream. So I don't want you guys to miss it. Come join us. I got VIP passes I can hand out so you guys can watch the game too. Yeah, Steven, my expectation is that I play, if Haliburton is in, that I play 0. Will he likely be under-owned today? Yeah. If he plays, probably. I'm willing to take that chance. But my expectation is that I basically do not have Tyrese Haliburton by the time we get to lock. Now, if he's out, obviously, that's a completely different story. All right, let's build a lineup. All right, at the captain spot, I'm going to go Chet, and then I'm going to go SGA, and then I'm going to get Pascal Siakam and Benedict Mathurin. And if I complete the lineup, I get Cason Wallace and TJ McConnell, $600 left over. I like this, I think, but I'm nervous that it's not green. Green by a hair. Plus 0.4 simulated ROI. If I take McConnell out and Wallace out, and I swap Mathurin for Neesmith, I spend 1,200 more. I do get a couple extra points. What do I do with that salary? That ends up with Shepard and Turner. Is that any better? Is Neesmith, Shepard, Turner better than the other three-man combo? Well, we're leaving on that note, folks. 74% sim ROI. Chet Holmgren, Aaron Neesmith, Ben Shepard, Miles Turner, Pascal Siakam, SGA. 37% cash rate, 2.8% top 10 percentage. Yeah, that looks pretty damn good. That looks pretty damn good. So yes, apparently the Aaron Neesmith, Miles Turner, Ben Shepard trio looks a little bit better than, what was it, Mathurin, Wallace, McConnell? We found it. We found it. All right, chat. I'm going to ask the early crew, who wins today? Who we got? OKC, Thunder by 5. Thunder by 1 million. Jack Flash, thanks for signing up. Also, shout out to the Lakers for becoming the Abu Dhabi Lakers. That should be interesting over the next however many years. The Los Angeles Lakers of Abu Dhabi. Do you got to do it like the Angels? The Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim? Is that what it is now? The Los Angeles Lakers of Abu Dhabi? Slippery slope, folks. Slippery slope. But that's a lot of money. They're going to spend a lot moving forward, it seems. That's going to get... this is going to be an interesting influx of cash for the Lakers. Because oddly enough, no matter what the thought process is here, they're not like a super spendy team in the way that you would expect a Lakers team to be. I think this is going to look a little bit different now that they've just been fully acquired by Abu Dhabi. Well, guys, if this is the final NBA strategy show of the year, it's been a hell of a run. Let's not forget, we started this journey back in October. I've been here every morning for a while now. And I can't wait until we get back to October. I mean, what? July, August, September, October. We're only 4 months away from the start of the NBA season, guys. I hope you guys are as excited as I am. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, notification bell, all that good stuff. Live before lock tonight. It is a very, very important live before lock because we don't know if we're going to know the Haliburton status by the time we get there. Maybe we do, maybe we don't. But if we don't, we're going to find it out live on stream, and you do not want to miss it. So that's it. I don't think we're ever doing this again. If the Pacers win, strategy show, everybody. I'll see you.